Hey everyone, it's Carolyn. I'm an empath and psychic, and in today's video we're going to be focusing on generational karma. Generational karma is also known as family karma or ancestral karma. And so this is karma that has followed your ancestral lineage. And so this is karma that you have learned as a child based on your environment and how you grew up. And this is something that has been passed along for many generations. And so my goal with today's video is to help you break down what this karma is for you specifically and how you can break this cycle, because karma is basically a chain of events that we are destined to have in this lifetime. We are meant to go through them and we are meant to learn lessons. We get to decide what choice we do, and so we can either continue to follow this chain, follow this loop of events and keep repeating the same cycles over and over and over again, or we can choose to break away, end this cycle and start a new path with new karma and get away from this generational cycle. And so for today's video, I have 4 different cards for you guys to choose from. I decided to go with the Chariot card because this is all about forward progress. So the first pile is the Chariot card from the Wizard's Tarot. The second pile is the Chariot card from the Crow's Tarot. The third pile is the Chariot card from the Bad Bitches Tarot. And the fourth pile is the Chariot card from the Everyday Witch Tarot. So really take a moment and pause the video if you need to as you meditate. You can always watch more than one pile if you're being drawn to multiple. This is going to be a message that's meant for a lot of people, so just take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Your intuition is going to guide you to know what information is meant for you and what isn't meant for you. So just listen to your intuition and what it's telling you. I want to let you know that if you want to get your own private reading, I do sell them. You can either check out my Etsy shop or you can message me on Instagram or Facebook. I have everything linked in the description box down below. And I also want to say that if you're not already subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you a part of this family, and also turn on that bell notification so you see when I post future videos. I post multiple times a week. I do more pick a pile readings like this. I also do collective readings and zodiac readings, and I also do other educational videos to help you all with your spiritual journeys. And if you want to watch more videos of mine, I'm going to have some videos and playlists linked in the cards above, so definitely check that out after you watch this video. And with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start the readings. So those of you who chose the Wizard's Tarot, for your cards you have 8 of Swords, 6 of Wands, 9 of Wands, Distant Thunder, Clear the Air. You have the 5 of Wands reversed, the 2 of Swords reversed, and then you have 3 of Swords. And then for your Divine Doors card, you have this card here, and it says, Anthony's Call. And thanks of Spirit, safe and sound, all things that are lost so can be found. So the first thing I'm getting with this generational karma, with the 6 of Wands, is that there is a need to be perfect. There's a need to be the best. There's a need to always win and to always succeed. There's like this perfectionism energy. And something else I want to point out is that I'm having a very difficult time speaking. So I sense that this generational karma also is affecting your ability to really connect with people and to have empathy, where you form a connection, where you form a bond. To me, it feels like everything is always motivated by what it can get you or what you can do. It's really about proving yourself, and it's not so much about love. It's not so much about connection. It's always on to the next best thing, and it's always about having this reason to love one another and to show love for people. It's almost like you grew up in a very cold household, or there was a very distant energy between the people that were raising you, where it feels like with this karma there's not a lot of love between people. It feels more like there's either exchanges or there are like inner demons, inner issues that are never actually talked about. There's no communication. Everything's bottled up inside, and it's like everyone's trying to be the cookie cutter perfect image to one another, acting like everything's fine. Everyone's wearing a mask, and it feels like with this generational karma you have learned how to wear this mask. And I feel like if you don't have the thing that everyone wants, or you don't have the best grades, or you're not doing the best at school, or you don't have the best job, you're not making the most money, you don't have this car, if you don't have these things, then it's almost like you're ostracized, where everyone's like, oh, pity, blah blah blah. It's like everyone's looking at you with their heads hung. And I feel like growing up you just thought this was normal. I feel like you didn't feel comfortable with it, but you also didn't know that there was anything different. And I really feel like there's this heavy energy on you. I feel like some of you, it's like you bottle up your emotions so much that all of a sudden you start crying and you don't know why. It feels like there's this really heavy energy, and it also feels like there's an amount of pressure on you because you have to be the best. It's almost like you have to, instead of buying people's love, it's like you have to earn their love. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it because, like I said, there's a block with communication. I think it's very hard for you to put your emotions into words as a result of this generational karma. And I feel like your family as a whole, it's very difficult for people to express their emotions. I think it's very easy for your family to be very logical, to like make plans, to do things like that. But when it comes to love, affection, even just like having a warm energy, I feel like you haven't grown up with that. And I feel like for you, in order to break this generational karma, is you can't run with this Knight of Wands, because it seems like the people in your family or the people you grew up with, they keep themselves trapped, they keep themselves wearing this mask, and then they just run from things. If they have an issue, they ignore it, they bottle it up, they don't know who it is anymore, and they just act like it's not a problem. And that's where we had the distant thunder, because you have all these noises in the back of your mind and you're not actually paying attention to them. And so in order for you to clear the air and to break this karma, you have to make the conscious choice to really look at things. This Three of Swords, if you see, there's thunder in the background, so there's thunder going on around you. This is really saying you have to get in tune with your emotions, because the thunder and the rain really represent emotions. It's almost like the sky is crying. And so what you have to do, you have to release things, because that's what's happening when you go through a storm. The clouds are releasing all the water, and that's what you have to do emotionally. You have to get rid of this weight that's on you. And now for a lot of you, this is not going to be by confronting your family. This is not going to be by having a big blow up. This Five of Wands is reversed. So this is telling me that this is more internal. This is more internal healing that you have to do. And the reason for that, this generational karma, you're not going to heal the whole generation that it's affected. All you're doing is stopping this with you. You're not letting it continue. It feels like the people, especially those who are a lot older than you, they are so comfortable with this. They've grown up with this for so long. They are so used to wearing this mask that it's a part of their identity. But with this Anthony's Call, it says all things that are lost so can be found. You are finding yourself. I feel like a lot of people in your life, this mask feels like it's them, and so they don't think they're lost. They're not going to go looking for anything. I feel like you are going to make the choice to find yourself, to look for yourself. You aren't keeping yourself trapped anymore with this Eight of Swords. And the thing is, I feel like there's some of you saying like, I'm just so used to this, I don't even know how to get in touch with my emotions. And that's where this card comes in again. It can be found. You can find your inner emotions, you can find your inner voice. But also something to keep note of with this Eight of Swords, even though this is generational karma, you have the ability to untie yourself from it. With this Eight of Swords, all she has to do is pull on that rope and she's freed. You don't have to wear this mask. You don't have to run from things. If you're on this horse, you get to decide which direction it goes. If you go forwards or backwards. And to heal this, to clear the air, you have to go backwards a little bit. You have to work on yourself. But it feels like this is more internal healing, because even the back of the deck energy is the Moon card. And so this is really telling me that this is really subconscious. This karma, I feel like it's really affecting you because you don't want to hold on to this. You don't want this heavy energy. You want to free yourself. And so what I'm being told for you, in order to clear this, in order to break free from this mask, is one, you have to learn what your emotions are. You have to actually learn how to release everything. Because the thing is, you've been wearing this mask for so long, when you take it off, it's going to be very overwhelming. It's not going to be something that's easy and now you're living your best life. It's going to be very painful. And with this Three of Swords is indicating some sort of heartbreak, because it's almost like you're shifting your reality. You're changing the status quo in a way that is almost going to feel unfair for you, because you have to break this cycle in order to truly be happy with yourself. It's almost like, why do I have to be the one to do this? Why couldn't people have done it before? Why did I have to grow up like this? I feel like there's gonna be a lot of anger and frustration because you have never actually allowed yourself to feel those emotions when it comes to the way you've grown up, because you've been running from things too. It's almost like now you don't know what to do. It's very overwhelming. And so I feel like while you're healing this, you're gonna go on an emotional mood swing, basically, where you are going through the ups and the downs. downs. And it's almost like the emotions when someone's grieving, how you're going to have the periods of frustration, then you're going to have sadness, and you're going to have acceptance, and it's going to come in waves. It's not going to be something that's super easy, but it's going to be conscious choices that you are making to not live like that anymore. And I feel like with this generational karma, because it's been ingrained in you for so long, and because this is how your brain is naturally trained to think now because of this karma, it's like you're gonna catch yourself in moments where you're with your friends or the new people in your life, and you're gonna catch yourself almost comparing yourself mentally and having to get yourself out of that. And I feel like you're also gonna have to realize and let go of the material items or the material status. I feel like you really are going to have to redefine your life, where things no longer define you. You define yourself by what you feel. Because of the people you grew up with, it's going to be very difficult at first, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of judgment if you are not doing what they want. If you're not living your life by their standards, I feel like there's going to be this harsh judgment because they are still wearing this mask where all those things matter, success and merits matter. But to you, you realize that yes, success matters, but it's not success based on material items. It's not success based on how much money you have. It's about the genuine people you have in your life, your connection with them, your emotions, how you feel, are you happy? And so I feel like in order to break this generational karma, you're not going to sacrifice your happiness anymore just to try and chase these things that are going to make it look like you have the perfect life. I feel like some of you too, this generational karma has to do with social media, where you are acting like you have the most perfect life so that people like you, that they're in awe of you, but really you're miserable inside. And this generational karma has just fueled that, and it's continued the cycle where you're pretending like everything's okay when it's really not. And I feel like in order for you to break that, you're gonna have to pull away from the internet a little bit. You're really gonna have to be with yourself and say, you know what, I'm not gonna post this just so other people give me praise. You're gonna actually post things that you're happy about, that you enjoy, that make you excited. I feel like you're gonna get a lot of passion back in your life. But with this generational karma, it's really sitting and accepting and asking yourself why. Constantly ask yourself why you're doing things, and see if it's coming from a place where you are trying to get a reaction or a validation from someone else, or if you actually enjoy it. If you enjoy something, you can continue doing it. Keep it in your life. But if you're doing it for others, that is that mask. That's that shield that you are wearing based on this generational karma. And so by constantly asking yourself why and tracing things back to the root source, you're going to understand what is part of this cycle that you were in, and you're actually going to be able to break out of it. But you can't stop it until you actually question it. And so I really feel like that's where we have the Two of Swords, because it's about you stopping, questioning things, and making a choice based on that. And that's why I feel like it's going to be very difficult for you to get others in your family to also break this generational karma, because I don't think that they are ready to ask why yet. I don't think they are having this epiphany yet. I feel like for you, there's been this internal nagging where your intuition is telling you like, hey, this is not right. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like me. This doesn't feel authentic. This feels fake. And that's why you are ready to break the cycle. You are ready to make this change. But it's going to take diligence, and it's going to take time and energy, and it's going to be very rough because your emotions are all over the place. And so for you with this generational karma, it really feels like you are taking the actions, you are taking the accountability, and you are in control of your own life. But you have to be prepared that there's thunder. And that means that there's going to be issues, that this is not going to be smooth sailing. This is going to be something where you have to be willing to see that rainbow on the other side of this, where once you break this cycle and you actually get away from this mask, you're gonna feel better within yourself. But it really feels like there's this perfectionism energy, and it's just making you feel bad about yourself. It's almost like unoriginal, uninspired. I feel like you're very drained. You're just bored with your life. And in order for you to actually get that passion back into your life, you have to really allow yourself to accept that you're not happy with your life, and you have to accept that you don't really know who you are, because you've been wearing this mask for so long. You don't know who you are, and you're gonna have to find yourself, but you're gonna be able to find yourself. And so with this generational karma, you also have to be prepared to find validation within yourself. That's part of breaking the cycle, is no longer using these merits to get validation through others. You have to find validation within yourself, because if you don't have internal validation, if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not proud of yourself, if you don't know where you stand, then you're gonna have an extremely difficult time breaking this generational karma, because you are going to be looking for validation through others, and eventually you're going to end up in in this cycle again. And so really the only way to break free is to take the steps, ask yourself why, really focus on yourself, and take time to find yourself, take time to understand what drives you, what is actually your motivator, and take time to actually find passion for you to have validation within yourself. Start being proud of yourself. Start actually praising your own accomplishments, even if they're small, even if they're not the accomplishments that the people you grew up with would appreciate. If it's something that makes you feel good, if it makes you feel like you've succeeded at something, if you've accomplished something, no matter how small it is, give yourself praise for that, because that's going to start building up your confidence, and that's going to build up your self-esteem, and in turn that is going to make you find validation in yourself. It's all about taking those stepping stones. And so no matter how small things seem, just keep taking steps forward. If you find yourself reverting back to trying to find validation through others, acknowledge that mentally and say, you know what, I need to step away from this situation because it's making me go back to old habits, or I need to retrain my brain and be like, you know what, their opinion doesn't matter. I need to focus on myself, and really take the baby steps in order to break this generational cycle. Go through the emotions, let yourself feel, and let yourself be open with others, where instead of having this mask on why you are with others or why you allow others in your life, really start opening up your eyes and just looking at the people in your life, seeing who has true intentions and who has true hearts, and really forming emotional connections with people. As you discover how to actually be in tune with your emotions, see who you connect with on an emotional level, where it's not about logic, where it's not about their status, where it's not about using people, but it's actually about the love and the compassion you have for one another. And allow people to enter your life that maybe you wouldn't have let enter before, and really see how they can change your life, because I think you're going to be really surprised when you realize that maybe someone doesn't have the best job, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be there for you and they're not going to have your back. And you're going to find people who genuinely support you instead of being surrounded by these fake people, and you're really going to know who's got your back through thick and thin and who's only going to be around for the highs. And I feel like that's really going to make you put things into perspective. And so I feel like you are capable of healing this generational karma, but it's really going to take diligence, and you really have to be wanting to change it, because I feel like it's going to be very difficult, and if you're not willing to change it, it's going to be very easy to slip back into old patterns. So I really hope that this resonates, and I'm sending you all so much love and light on your own spiritual journeys. If you did find this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and share with someone else who needs to hear this message. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you a part of this family, and turn on that bell notification so you see when I post my next video. Don't forget to check out my Pick a Pile playlist for more messages for you, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. Have a good one. Bye. So those of you who chose the Chariot card from the Crow Tarot, we have the Page of Swords, 8 of Wands, 5 of Cups reversed, Ascending the Mountain, keep going forward. We have Justice, Page of Wands reversed, the Tower reversed, and then from Divine Doors we have these two cards here. And so we have Offerings, abundance lies in the heart that allows, share more than expected and see love come around. And then we have Sunset, time here turns to release and unfurl, old cords of pain fade as the sunlight burns. So the first sense I'm getting from this generational karma is because we have this 8 of Wands, to me it feels like this karma has a very fast pace where it's almost running from problems, but it's not running in the typical sense where you are ignoring things, where you're hiding from them. It's more running in the sense of act like it doesn't bother you, move on from it. Why are you going to hold on to negativity? It feels like in the way you grew up, it was almost as if like, don't keep yourself trapped by focusing on the negative. So in order to do it, we're going to release everything. We're not going to hold any judgment. We're not going to hold ourselves back, because we're not going to give into the negative energy, and we aren't going to be a part of that. We are going to keep moving forward and enjoying our life, and we're not going to let others bring us down. And I feel like this can be very good in balance, but I think for you, anytime you want to feel anger, you want to feel these negative emotions as a human does, as someone who needs to learn balance within themselves, you weren't able to. So you weren't really able to give into your negative emotions, to process things and to understand things. And so I feel like this generational karma is running from problems and putting on this mask where you are happy and convincing yourself that you're happy, even though you're not actually getting anything resolved. And I also feel like this creates a lack of boundaries in your life. Because of this Page of Swords, the Crow is carrying a knife, and swords is an energy where it's air, so it's quick moving, it's fast paced, and so I really sense that it's almost like there's a lack of boundaries where if someone mistreated you or did something you didn't like, you weren't able to express it. Like, you could maybe say a couple words about it, but then everyone's like, okay, it's been talked about, now we can move on from this, now it's not an issue. And so nothing was actually ever changed, nothing was ever actually addressed in the sense where it was solved. Everything was kind of pushed under the rug and you keep moving forward. And I feel like that has really made it difficult for you to learn and to grow and evolve, because you never learned how to reflect and you never really learned how to take accountability for things because the people around you did not take accountability. And I also feel like this makes it very difficult for you when you meet people for you to know what those boundaries are, and I think you can give too much of yourself, and I think it also creates an imbalance in your life where you are too trusting with people in your life. You're a bit naive where people can take advantage of you, and I also feel when you are taken advantage of, even though it frustrates you, you don't have a way to fully express that. And so again, it creates that cycle, and this is how it's generational, where now you don't have that knowledge on how to set up proper boundaries and how to confront this situation, and so it's creating this mountain that's in front of you. And so you are being told, in order to break this cycle, in order to end it, you have to ascend this mountain. And so with the Justice card, this is really telling me that you need to bring balance into your life, where you have to undo this moving forward fast-paced energy. You have to allow yourself and forgive yourself for focusing on these negative emotions and saying it's okay to not always focus on the silver lining, because this Five of Cups is reversed. It's like everyone in your life has always told you to focus on the silver lining. Even though this is bad, focus on the good. And while that's good when you are stuck in a rut and you need to get out of it, it's hurtful when you are trying to process things because you're not actually able to understand them. And so I feel like there's a disconnect between the reason of why. I feel like there's always, you do this because you have to, or listen to so and so, but there's not an explanation. And I feel like in order to break this generational cycle, it creates a point where you have to be this Page of Wands and start putting your foot down, start learning about things and focusing on the why, being curious and actually getting answers and finding answers within yourself. This Tower reversed is saying that in order to break this chain, you need to internally look at things, reflect, and change who you are and the way you process, the way you think. You have to really take time and put work and energy into this, because this is almost like the way you've been conditioned. Now you have to go back and you need to rework all that, and you need to change the way that you take in information, because your first reaction is to move forward. Your first reaction is to push things under the rug or say it's not a big deal. And so I feel like the first step moving forward is starting to build boundaries within your life when it comes to your personal space, when it comes to what you will and won't accept. Start creating those boundaries for you. You can even go and write it on a piece of paper. And even if it takes you a while to think about it, really focus and spend some time, even if it's a long time. Just focus on yourself and what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. And you can reflect on past situations and think back to things that you let slide and say, you know what, I wasn't actually happy with letting that go. I just did it because I felt I had to. And so it's really about finding what your boundaries are, what you aren't going to take anymore. And once you have that, write it down so you remember it. And then when you go throughout your life, if that gets triggered or you get pushed around or there's someone who's trying to disregard that boundary, then enforce that boundary and really look into your inner strength, because this is going to be very uncomfortable for you because you haven't set these boundaries properly before. It's definitely going to be something that you're not used to, and it's also going to make you a bit fearful because you're not used to the reaction that people are going to give you. But really stay true to yourself, stay true to your boundaries and hold on to them. And I do feel, unfortunately, that while you are breaking this generational karma, that you might have a falling out with people. I think you will have a falling out with people who aren't respecting your boundaries, and I think that is really where you're going to be pushed the most, is by starting to set these boundaries, by allowing yourself to focus on things to say, you know what, that was not okay. That made me feel uncomfortable. That made me feel bad. That made me feel sad. That made me feel any of these negative emotions, and it's okay to focus on that, and it's okay to not always forgive right away. I feel like for you, because you have been so forgiving you have felt that you need to forgive in order to move on, and that's not true. You can move on without forgiving. The two don't go hand in hand. You don't want to hold on to negative emotions where you are constantly sitting in those negative emotions, but you also don't need to be 100% happy, I forgive you, you can be in my life again, and just let people push you around. There's a balance between it, and so you can become indifferent to people. You can just simply not care, where you are not stuck in that negative emotion, but you're also not excusing their behavior and saying it's okay. And so for this generational cycle, I feel like there might be people who don't understand your boundaries, who don't respect your boundaries, and that's where you got to keep going forward. But you are allowed to say, you know what, I can't have you in my life. If you're not going to respect me, I can't move past this. I can't forgive you for what you've done if I see no change from you. And so if you're refusing to change, if you're not even going to hear me out, then I'm going to have to cut ties. And I feel like that's going to be very emotional for you. And that's where you really have to accept that it's okay to feel upset about things. It's okay to really take time for yourself. And if you have to shut others out for a period of time, that's okay. You don't have to be happy 100% of the time. And I feel like that's what you've been conditioned to believe. And with the sunset, it's saying time here runs to release and unfurl. You're supposed to release these things, and old cords of pain fade as the sunlight burns. You are allowed to feel pain. You are allowed to feel these negative emotions and cut these old cords that no longer serve you. Whether it's family, whether it's friends you've known for a long time, whoever it is, you can cut that cord and know that you are going to heal and allow yourself to heal, but still not justify someone's behavior towards you when it's not acceptable. And with the offerings card, it says abundance lies here in the heart that allows, share more than expected and see love come around. And so this is saying that if you set those boundaries for yourself, if you tell the universe what your boundaries are and you say, this is what I will accept, this is what I won't accept, you will eventually weed out all the people that are trying to use you, who are trying to manipulate you, who are trying to take advantage of you. And you are going to have pure offers come in where you are meeting people who are going to respect your boundaries, and you will eventually get the love you deserve. Right now, with this generational karma, you are surrounded by people who don't deserve your love, who aren't actually appreciating you. And so by breaking the cycle, you will be able to bring this justice and balance back into your life. And so I really feel like this is saying that your generational karma is to allow yourself to set boundaries, to take care of yourself, to prioritize yourself, to be selfish, because you're doing it in a way that's healthy for you. Right now, you don't have that balance in your life. You don't have that duality where you are able to truly process things. You've been conditioned to just follow what everyone else has been doing. And if you don't do it, then you are holding on to negativity, then you're a bad influence, and you're all these negative things, which you're not. It just makes you human. And so I think you also need to take time to forgive yourself, because you don't have to forgive others, but you have to allow yourself to spend time and forgive yourself for feeling these negative emotions. You don't need to feel shame or judge yourself if you feel negative emotions, because that's human. And I really feel like with this generational cycle, with the people you grew up with, don't allow them to make you feel bad for yourself. Don't allow them to judge you and to shame you just because you are trying to actually become healthier by bringing balance into your life, because you aren't doing it where you are sitting in this pain and you're keeping yourself stuck and stagnant. I feel like this generational karma started because someone was probably trying to overcorrect from past karma where they were so negative that they were not doing anything in their lives, and someone probably saw that and said, you know what, I don't want to be that. But then over time it's overcorrected where you are now so conditioned to do the opposite. And it's your turn now, as you break this generational karma, to say there's a middle ground. It doesn't have to be all positive or all negative. We have multiple sides to us, and we can feel multiple different things, and we don't always have to be sunshine and rainbows, and we don't always have to move on from things. We don't always have to ignore people's behavior because that's just who they are. This is your turn to set your boundaries and to teach your family or the people you grew up with that they can set boundaries too. You can lead others by being an example for them. And I feel like even if you have a falling out with someone, it's good riddance, because this person doesn't respect you, and they're not even open-minded enough to learn that they can change, and they're not even willing to change their actions, because this is going to be a falling out, not because you're not willing to work with them. It's not like someone disrespects your boundaries and you talk to them and then you cut them out. You only cut people out if they're not willing to respect your boundaries. If someone didn't know that this was an issue for you and you bring it up and they're willing to adapt, they're willing to change and to grow, then you can work with them. You can keep them in your life. But the people who aren't willing to do that, then they don't care about you, because if they cared about you, they would care about your boundaries, because they wouldn't want to make you uncomfortable or put you in a position that didn't feel secure. And so I really feel like this is your turn now to really revamp the way you think, revamp the way you process, and start sticking up for yourself, not allowing people to push you around, and really leading by example as you start to understand why, and you start to question why you allow people to treat you this way, question why you let things slide, question why this boundary is important to you. And really just start to reflect and to think and to slow down and to pause. And by doing that, you will be able to start to unravel and break this cycle, so that you can actually eventually cut it all together, and you can start being more balanced within yourself. And you eventually will ascend this mountain, where this challenge that feels so daunting, where this boundary that seems like, oh my God, it's so scary, it's so intimidating. By the time you're at the top of the mountain, where you are living your best life, where you're so happy with your life, whoever you had that falling out with, whoever didn't respect your boundaries, whatever felt intimidating at first is no longer going to feel intimidating, because you are going to realize that balance is not bad, that it's okay to feel negative emotions as long as they don't control you, and you're gonna have so many better people in your life surrounding you and giving you support and love, and you are going to feel like you can actually understand things and process things better, instead of feeling like you've always been pushed into what you have to do. Because right now, this generational karma is conditioning you to believe things, but you don't have a reason. They're not your beliefs. And so now you are actually gonna have who you are. You're gonna find your identity, and you're gonna actually understand what you value and have reasons for it. And I feel like it's gonna make you feel more complete inside, because right now I feel like there's still pieces of you that you don't fully understand. And I feel like once you break this cycle, things are gonna start clicking into place. So I'm really sending you all so much love and light, and I really hope that you take care of yourself. If you did like this video, please let me know in the YouTube comments down below. Also give this video a big thumbs up and share with someone else who needs to hear this message. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. I would love to have you a part of this family. And also turn on that bell notification so you see when I post my next video. I post multiple videos a week. I have my Pick a Pile playlist linked in the cards above, so definitely check out more of my videos. And I can't wait to see you all in my next one. Have a good one. Bye. So those of you who chose the Chariot from the Bad Bitches Tarot, for your cards you have the World reversed, 5 of Pentacles, the Devil, Rejuvenating Brain, Clear the Past, Heal the Present, 7 of Cups, 2 of Swords, and King of Wands. And then from the Divine Doors we have this card, and it says Destiny. One door closes, another opens for you. Let the plans of destiny unravel true. So the first thing I'm sensing from this World card is that not only is this a generational cycle, but this is also a pattern that has constantly repeated, not only in your life, but this is a pattern that is constantly in the people that you grew up with's lives. And with the 5 of Pentacles and the Devil card, to me this reads as addictions, that this cycle and this generational karma has to do with addiction or addictive personalities. And so there's like the well-known addictions where you have drug and alcohol abuse, but you can also have addictions of other kinds that may not appear to be addictions until you actually start to analyze them more. And it can also be an addictive personality. You could have codependency issues in your relationships. This could also mean that when you find something you like some sort of interest, that you go all in and you get really hooked on it, you get really attached to it. So this can appear in multiple different ways in your life, so just take this how it resonates for you. But I definitely think that there is a pattern where there is unhealthy attachments to the things in your life. And I feel like some of you, this isn't like unhealthy addictions. I feel like some of you, like someone could have an addiction to working out, or to really eating clean, or to counting calories. And even though they may not seem as negative, they can still be addictions because they're still controlling your life and they are still heavily influencing your life. And I feel like for some of you who are watching this, it's very hard to admit. I feel like you don't want to admit it. I feel like this generational karma is not something that is going to be easily broken, because I think it's going to take a lot of inner reflection and time with yourself to really pinpoint what your addiction is and what you are letting control your life. But I definitely sense that there's an energy where it's very easy for you or the people you grew up with, where you watch them give into things and let things control them, let them take up their time, their energy. And I feel like for you, you might not realize that it's an addictive personality, because you might think this is normal. You might think, oh no, this isn't an addiction. This is me just being really fascinated by this, or me really liking this, or me being enthusiastic about this. But really, if you look at the things in your life, if it's hindering your daily activity, if it's taking up so much of your time and energy and thought, it can be an addiction, and it leads to codependency energy. And for some of you, I feel like this could be a past addiction. You could have already gotten help for it. But what I'm sensing is that even though you might have been able to heal this addiction, that generational karma is still there. There's still the addictive tendencies. There's still the energy where things still need to be in balance, where you are actually forgiving yourself fully for this. Because with this rejuvenating rain, it says clear the past and heal the present. And so for you who are watching this, unfortunately, it's not like there's a super revolutionary answer with these tarot cards. It really is just the message from Spirit is saying that this is going to have to be something that you become aware of and you actually admit it, because I feel like a lot of you have a very hard time admitting this. And I think you have to actually look at things and evaluate them and see them for what they are. And I feel like by doing so, you have to make the right choices, and you have to actually have the power to really hold yourself accountable and look in the mirror and face who you are and to own who you are, and take the past and realize that the past isn't defining you, and that you get to move on from it, you get to learn from it in order to heal the present. But you can't just disregard it and ignore the past and like never accept or take accountability for that part of your life, because then you're never going to be able to heal the present. If you just run from it, it still kind of engages in that same behavior where you were looking for distractions to distract you from the actual issue. And so for you, I feel like this generational wound is to say that you can't ignore things. If you are having problems with things, you need to get help, and you can't brush things under the rug, and you can't distract yourself. I feel like some of you could even have issues with money. Some of you could have a gambling addiction. But I'm sensing that really this isn't so much about like what the addiction is, it's more the pattern of addictions, where there is distractions in your life and you are not allowing yourself to actually heal the root issues. And I feel like you grew up in a household or an environment where you just saw people ignoring things and turning to other vices and turning to distractions and not actually taking care of themselves, not actually taking accountability. And I feel like a lot of you grew up in households where you were struggling. I think some of you, it could be financially struggling, but I think majority, it's like you just felt this heavy burden on yourself. And I feel like maybe a lot of the adults in your life didn't take accountability. Maybe you didn't have the best role models, but it's like you really had to almost raise yourself, and you just felt this intense amount of pressure where it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I feel like you just felt lost, you feel confused, and I think that's where the codependency for some of you kind of comes into play, where it's your way of being like, I never got to have the childhood I wanted. I never got to rely on people who I was supposed to rely on. I had to grow up too fast. So now that I'm an adult, I don't want to have to take care of me. I want to rely on other people. And unfortunately, the thing is, like, you can't do that. As much as you want to do that, you can't, because it's going to create unhealthy relationships. And I also feel like a big part of your life is actually looking at your life, reflecting, and by breaking this generational cycle and this generational karma, you are going to be able to heal others. You are going to be able to be an inspiration. You are going to be able to help others. And so I really feel like you need to heal the present in order to help others heal. I feel like this generational cycle is actually going to be a catalyst for you in an extremely positive way. I feel like you really have the power to transform your life with this generational karma. You just have to actually look at it, face it, and not be ashamed of it, and actually use it as fuel and motivation to continue moving forward, for you to actually make this your destiny. And as this card says, one door closes, another opens. I really feel like you have the ability to help help people who are going through the same struggles that you did and actually guide them. And I feel like it also would be good for you if you have people who have been through the same thing. You can create almost like a buddy system, and that's where you can inspire each other to make the right choices. But I really feel like your generational karma is just addressing the things you do that are trying to distract you, that are trying to negate you from not focusing on the real issues, and instead shift your energy to healing yourself, to understanding them, to really processing things and seeing what the bright way to handle things are, seeing what the healthy way, the non-codependent way is, and actually taking accountability and realizing that you can't change the past, you can't get the past back, but you don't have to let it define you, and you also get to continue to shape your future and mold it into what you want. So if you're not happy with how things are currently going or who you once were, you don't have to be that person. You get to make a shift, you get to make a change, you get to heal yourself, and by doing that, you get to create a whole new destiny for yourself. And so I really sense that this is just an overall energy with this generational karma, that you have the ability to break this cycle just by opening up your awareness, by not being defensive, by actually accepting the truth and accepting help and reaching out to others when you need it. Because of this addictive personality, you might not want to admit things, you might not want to get help, but I feel like if you do, that is how you break this generational cycle, because I feel like others before you have not done so, and you have the ability to change that and to make the choice that's best for you and actually be able to create a change and shift that inspires others, where maybe you're not going to change everyone you know instantaneously, but over time, by you living your best life, by changing your destiny and actually allowing others to see how much you have healed, you may inspire the very people that you grew up with and show them that it's never too late to change things, that it's never too late to overcome obstacles. And so this generational karma is saying, instead of distracting yourself and being defeated by things, you're gonna actually take a stand and take accountability for things and show people that even though it's hard, even though it requires dedication and hard work, you still get to define who you are, and you don't have to let things hold you back. You don't have to let this obstacle consume you. You can overcome the obstacle even if it seems intimidating and difficult. You have the power within yourself. You just have to believe in it. And so I really hope that this resonates for you. I really hope that you continue to take care of yourself. I'm sending you all so much love and light right now. And if you did like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and also share this video with others who need to hear it. If you aren't already, please hit subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family. Also turn that bell notification so you see when I post my next video. I also have my Pick a Pile playlist linked in the cards above, so you can check that out for more videos. And I can't wait to see you all in my next one. Have a good one. Bye. So those of you who chose the Chariot card from the Everyday Witch Tarot, we have the Four of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Four of Wands, Uncovering Treasure, Beneath the Surface Lies Great Bounty, Five of Cups, the Empress reversed. We have Grace and Gratitude, Through Gratitude Joy Expands, and then we have this card from the Divine Doors. And it says 1111, numbers in doubles, synchronicity in two, don't hold back, your love now, life is meant for you. So what I'm sensing with this Ace of Pentacles for your generational karma is that it has a lot to do with manifestation, it has a lot to do with money and with finances and with status. And with this Four of Swords card, I get the sense that there was an emphasis to not be lazy, to work for things, to really have a good work ethic, and in turn that with the Four of Wands will get you what you want. I feel like there was a big emphasis on, if you work hard, you will achieve things, you will get what you want, but in order to get that, you can't rest. You can't take a break. You have to put all your energy into things. If you truly want something, you have to put your all into it. You can't take a break. And it feels like this all or nothing energy that you grew up with. And I feel like what you are being told in order to break this generational cycle is that it's okay to slow down, it's okay to have balance. You can still achieve great things even if not every step of the way is focused on it exactly. It's okay to not create sometimes. It's okay to take a rest. It's okay to not put all your energy into things right away. It's okay to take time for yourself, because with this Five of Cups, even though you have these things that might not be working, might not go as planned, maybe it's not actually moving you forward, doesn't mean that it won't allow you to wind up at the destination you want. This girl in this Five of Cups, yeah, she's upset because the glasses she had that she was trying to bring something fell and they slipped and they're spilt everywhere, but behind her is a whole big party. And so if you are trying to reach this destination, I feel like this generational karma has made you feel like it has to be daunting, it has to be intimidating. You have to do things a certain way in order to get these results, and if you don't do them exactly like this, bad things are gonna happen and you're not gonna amount to anything. And I feel like there's a big status on working your way up and getting the things you want and achieving these things. And I feel like there's really been a pressure on you that you have to succeed, that you have to do things, and you can't slow down, you can't take time for yourself. And I feel like this has actually taken a big toll on your mental health, and I feel like the people around you, even if they don't admit it, their mental health is not what it should be. There are issues because they're not actually taking accountability and looking at things and saying, you know what, this isn't healthy. They are just trying to push through things. And I feel like you too have been taught to just push through things, and if you're having a bad day, it's okay, just move on and the next day it will get better. And I feel like the phrase, you'll sleep when you're dead, was constantly throughout your life. You've heard it or you were always related to it. And I feel like this generational cycle has really given you a bad balance between you and work, your relationship with work, your relationship with money, your relationship with your goals. It really feels like there's this pressure on you where you have to follow the rules, you have to follow what others have done, and it's very difficult for you to pave your own path. And when you do pave your own path, it's like you lose yourself in this process. I feel like if any of you are entrepreneurs or you begin to build your own business, I feel like you definitely struggle with finding that balance between how much work you were actually doing and how much time and energy you're putting into the business versus how much time you're actually taking to give yourself rest. Because with a normal work job, you get days off, you get time off. And with you, when you are trying to create something new, you don't get that. I also think that this is something, if you are considering doing your own business, you have to break the generational karma prior to it, because otherwise your balance is going to be completely thrown off. I feel like it's really going to affect your social life, your sleep schedule even. It's really going to create issues and conflict with it. And I'm sensing with this generational karma, it's very hard for you to express when things feel wrong, when things feel like they're just not working, or when you want to give up on something. Because I feel like when you were growing up, if you expressed any doubts or concerns or wanting to quit, you were always met with you can't, or you have to stick it out, or you have to give it one more try. And so you never got to experience what it's like to actually trust yourself and trust your instincts, because it's almost like if you said something, you were held to that standard. And it's almost like you never got to fully experience how to deal with the loss of something, how to deal with failure, and how to pick yourself back up from it. It feels like anytime you were met with failure or something isn't working, your response is always to dig your heels in even more and just make it work, find a solution. And I think that's actually detrimental, because you need that balance. Because sometimes, yeah, you do want to make it work. Maybe you can find a solution, but other times you truly can't. And other times you're just wasting your time and your energy and putting all this effort into something that either you don't truly want anymore, or something that isn't going to pan out because you're so stubborn on the way you have to get there, that with this Five of Cups, if she just turns around, she sees all this. But if you're so stubborn, you're so focused on making these three cups become the party, well, now you're going to be sitting there forever and you're playing a waiting game and nothing's going to budge. You're going to be there forever. And so what I'm really sensing is with this generational karma, this cycle, it really feels like there's this pressure on you to be the best, to be successful, and to just make things work. And if they're not working, just figure it out. And there's not actually talk about failures or doubts. There's not actually a genuine expression. And it's very difficult for you to tell people when you are struggling with things. I think you keep things bottled up inside. I think you keep things to yourself. And I think it's very difficult for you to come to terms when something is not working. And I feel like some of you, this can affect your relationships. I feel like some of you, if you have had failed relationships, you really beat yourself up about that for not being able to make it work, because you weren't really prepared for that. And I feel like some of you could be going through relationships where they're just not worth it anymore. It's not working out, but yet you're continuing to try and find a solution because it has to work. And I feel like what this generational karma has done to you, it's made you not take a step back and evaluate things. Now, when you are faced with fight or flight, you go with fight and you try and find a solution, but sometimes you need that flight so you can get a new perspective, and then you can come back and you can fight. And with you, it's all like digging your heels and focused, and it really feels like this very intense energy. And I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but I feel like this is almost like you growing up. You had these things embedded in you, almost like a drill sergeant, some of you, where you just had things repeating over and over and over again. And some of you, this is your own doing in your head. You replayed the words back that your family had told you. And you had your own fears and insecurities that made you try and fight things and stick them out. But I feel like there is this fear of judgment. And I think that there is a fear of failure, because not only are you not set up to fail and to recover from it, but I feel like you're also afraid that if you fail, you're not going to have any support. But what I'm sensing for a lot of you is, while the people who raised you may have their own set of rules and standards they held themselves to, and they might have certain aspirations for you, I feel like your family is very loving, and I feel like they will be understanding if you approach things with them and you actually communicate with them. I think communication is something that you struggle with, because I feel like you always shut down as a child, and so that truly affected you. But I think if you actually find a way to put your thoughts and feelings and emotions into words, I think your family is willing to listen. I think they are willing to understand, and while it might not be what they would do, I think your family still loves and supports you. I think you have created an internal fear that they won't, and I feel like for a majority of you that's not true. I definitely get the sense that this generational karma is something that they were taught. I feel like this is something that they had to do. And I feel like this is how your family kind of was able to make their money and to provide for you, because they were so determined to keep working, to keep hustling, to make things work. And I feel like they didn't really see how that was affecting you. And I feel like they put a lot of pressure and aspirations on you because they might not have been able to have these same opportunities, and they wanted you to have a better life than they did. And so I feel like a lot of what your family has done is out of love, and they're trying to protect you and they want the best for you. And I don't think that your family realized the way that you were internalizing this. And I think it's just because it was something that was so ingrained in them that they didn't see how it was going to affect you, or what the negative side effects could be, because they're just so used to it. And so I really sense for you to break this generational karma is to just really sit with yourself, allow yourself to not create. This Empress is reversed. You don't have to create. You can sit with yourself. You don't have to put all this energy into things. Still continue to put energy into some things, but you can pull back. You can find that balance. You can have fun. And with this Uncovering Treasure card, it says beneath the surface lies great bounty. So beneath the surface of yourself, you have your passions, you have your inspirations, you have treasure within you. Now it's about actually revealing what that is and finding balance, where you have that grace and gratitude for things, where you're working at a pace that's meant for you, where you're not pushing yourself, where you're not being stubborn, but you're actually having grace to accept when things aren't working, and you have gratitude for learning the lesson. Because sometimes things fail, but they still succeed at what they were meant for us. And so if there's a lesson to learn and you learn that lesson, then it's not a failure. It's just not achieving what you thought it would achieve. And so if you just shift your perspective and you take a step back, you see that you haven't actually lost anything. And I think focusing on that and learning to adjust your mind and change your perspective is really going to help you when breaking this generational cycle, because it's going to put things in perspective where you are not judging yourself. Because I think you do judge yourself if you feel like you aren't putting enough work into things. And I feel like there's this really unhealthy balance, and the only way to correct it is to, one, realize that it is unhealthy and that there's a way to bring balance into your life that's better for you, and it's actually going to be more efficient. And by getting a new perspective, that's going to make you see that and understand it a lot better, and that will help in aiding you as you break down this cycle and you end it. Because if not, if you just try and break the cycle almost cold turkey, it's going to mentally mess with your mind, just because this has been something that's so ingrained in you, and also something where you're not really prepared for it. Because like I said, you're not prepared for failure, and until you learn that failure doesn't have to be this big, scary, intimidating thing, you you have to slowly break it down. Otherwise, it's going to create a really imbalanced judgment within yourself where you were judging yourself, you're beating yourself up, you're going to be stuck in a stagnant cycle where you just feel defeated. So you have to approach this in a more balanced way where first you unravel all the hidden fears and doubts and mind games you have around failure itself, and break it down where you realize that failure is not a scary thing to be intimidated by. And then you can go and you can change your life. You can start evaluating things and you can pull back. And this way, if you do happen to have something that fails, you have that balance within your mind where you understand it's not something to beat yourself up over. And so I feel like for you, this generational karma is going to be something you have to do very slowly. It's going to take a couple different layers and understandings with yourself, and really take time to self-reflect and to go internal within yourself and your psyche to fully heal. But I feel like once you are able to do that, you're going to be able to break this generational cycle. And I think moving forward, if you do choose to have a family, you're not going to instill these same fears in them. I think you are really going to correct this behavior where you teach them how to have balance and how you can strive for your goals. You can put a lot of time and energy into things, but not have it be so intense where you have to be working 24/7, because that's the energy I get from you. And something else I want to note is with this 1111 card, I feel like this could be a number you see as confirmation that you are breaking this generational cycle. So this could be a number that you start to see now as you go through this journey where you are breaking the cycle, but it could also be a number you don't see until the cycle has been fully ended. But I definitely feel like this is going to be a number that's meant as confirmation for you that you are on the right track. But it really feels like this generational cycle started with the best intentions, but now has morphed out of control where there's not a balance, where mental health is being neglected, and it's causing issues as far as everyday life where things are not in sync, they're not in flow. And so you need to pull back, you need to correct that, but like I said, definitely follow the steps and do them slowly so it is actually sustainable for you. Otherwise, it's going to make you feel negative about yourself, which you don't need, because there's nothing wrong with breaking the cycle, and there's nothing wrong with failing sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with taking a break when you need it, but it's really accepting that within yourself and realizing that it doesn't make you a bad person, that it doesn't make you lazy or ungrateful or any of these negative things. It just makes you human, and you need balance in order to be efficient, because if you try and work yourself to the bone or try and chase your goals without giving balance for anything else, you're not efficient. So yeah, you might be spending more time doing it, but if you took time for yourself, if you found balance, if you're spending less time on things but you're more efficient, that's a lot better and it's more sustainable. And that's really what you have to train yourself to understand and to learn. But it definitely feels like it's something you're capable of overcoming. You just have to realize that. And another thing to note, I feel like there are issues with money where you feel like if you don't do it, you're not going to get money, and that's not true. You have this uncovering treasure card here. This is saying that even if you take time for yourself, even if you balance things out, you will still have money. So don't be afraid that you won't have any money. Don't be afraid that this will cause major problems for you. That is a lot of fear that you have, and you have to release that and realize that it's not true. You can still make money. You can still achieve your goals even by taking care of yourself. And so I really hope that this resonates for you. If it did, please let me know in the YouTube comments down below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share with someone else who needs to hear this message. If you're not already, please hit subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family. Also turn that bell notification so you don't miss out when I post my next video. I post multiple videos a week. I'm also gonna have my pick a pile playlist linked in the cards above. Definitely check out more of my videos. I'm sending you all so much love and light on your own spiritual journeys, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. Have a good one. Bye.